My parents gave me a trailer, so I'm not homeless. I'm not out on the street or living in my car. But I feel like that gives me a unique perspective almost, and it also makes me incredibly sad and angry whenever I see someone having to live out on the street. And that is a very small portion of the homeless community, actually. The rate of invisible homeless, the like people living in their car, living in trailers, and living in hotels, motels, Airbnbs, couch surfing. It's all a type of homelessness, but when you are actually thrown out on the street, that does so much more harm to the human psyche than, a lot of things that actually cause homelessness. I do grocery delivery and DoorDash and stuff like that, which we'll get on another video about how harmful that can be to the people working. Not only to the people working, but the people who actually need the food and groceries brought to them. It's harming all of us. Not necessarily on an equal scale, but it's harming everyone. These kinds of services, especially for lower income, are absolutely necessary, and the companies know that. So a lot of the times you'll get like these little less than $2 orders on DoorDash at least, or I find it absolutely ridiculous that you can get a 8-mile driving job for $2.75. That is not enough money to pay for gas. That's not enough money to even pay for like the driver's food. The drivers don't get food. We very rarely get anything. Like if you are making minimum wage in Texas at least, which I think it's $7.50 an hour, it is not a livable wage. There is a reason we have a amount of homelessness in this country, and that is one of the very big reasons. Hello. This is my kitty. This is Lily. She doesn't like being, she doesn't really like being picked up or anything, but she loves being petted. Yeah, she does. But again, like, this all kind of goes into the whole, fix my wig here. This goes into the whole, sorry, yeah. It's another symptom of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, depression. I do have very bad oral hygiene, which is, I mean, it's embarrassing to admit, but I want everyone to see the actual, like, effects of what this does. Which is why I'm wearing makeup, right? No. But, I also get a lot of, bad reviews, when I actually meet up and talk with other, drivers. You do get a lot of, a type of camaraderie, like, in multiple places, because you do get other people who drive for a living, and biggest complaint I usually have, that everyone else usually has, is that nobody actually does any tipping, which in and of itself is a little problematic, because you have these large companies who are making a huge profit off of us. Just, they give you the bare minimum, and then they put the burden of the actual living wage on the person ordering takeout or delivery or whatever. And that's not fair. because the company is making huge fucking profits and got even more profitable during COVID. So you get these companies, right? These delivery companies like DoorDash, Uber Eats, Shipped, Instacart. You get all these apps, right? These companies are making a huge profit, and they price things up all the fucking time. So you could look. We'll take a look at the DoorDash app here in a minute, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. They mark the prices up on these items, especially ones that people typically do like to buy. And they put the cost burden on the consumer. And so you've got, not only are you marking items up that should not be marked up, you add a special tax for delivery anyway, which usually ranges around like, $5 to $10, right? Depending on your area. So you get that, and then you put the burden of making the salary of the driver livable on the consumer again. So they already feel like they're getting fucked over, which, I mean, they are. The consumer is definitely getting fucked over on that. But the biggest loser is the worker, the drivers, the people actually doing the shopping, picking up your food. We work for tips. So it's just like a restaurant, like a waitress at a restaurant, except we are literally driving you your food, your items, your Best Buy, fucking Target, all of this shit. And especially Amazon Prime drivers, they get like probably the worst stick out of this entire game. But they take that and then they put all of the burden on the worker. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to put this. I can't tell you how many times I have been driven to tears because I literally do these, you do the work you can get. You do what you can get. And a lot of what you can get is $2 to $3 jobs for a good 5 to 10 mile radius. So you're losing money most of the time. But you can't not work, because then that money that you're losing is just going to compound everything, and then you're not going to make money. So that money that you're losing is just, it just puts you further and further in this pit. Now, why do people see homeless people, visible on the street homeless people, as animals? It is because we all think that we work so hard, and, if we can't make ends meet, that gives us license to prey on the homeless. We think that gives us license, and it doesn't. It doesn't. In fact, homeless people tend to work way harder than any other person in this country. You see people laying on the street, that is the deepest, darkest pit that you can be in as a homeless person. So, sorry, it gets me really, it frustrates me, it pisses me off, and it makes me cry every single time I see a person having to lay on the streets, or you see a person with a sign, I need food, or they're trying to just get pet food or baby food. So many of these people are in such desperate need that they have absolutely no choice but to go to the streets to beg. That is what you're dealing with as a homeless person. You are dealing with people yelling at you. The biggest thing is people will physically harm homeless people, especially those who are they seem more vulnerable, like especially women, teens, and children. The prevalence of homeless people who have been abused as children is so high, it's so astronomically high, that there is barely any homeless person out there who has not experienced some sort of assault or abuse. In fact, you are far more likely to be abused when you are on the street. So you get these kids who have been abused, especially LGBTQ youth. They have absolutely no choice but to sell themselves, but to eat out of trash cans. Like, can you personally imagine being so desperate that you have to have sex just to survive, that you have to eat dirty food out of a trash can that will more than likely make you sick, but you're so sick from hunger that you don't care. You are so physically, mentally sick that nothing matters except maybe one dirty morsel of food. I know a lot of people don't have a lot of money to give, especially like for homeless people. But I feel like if you're going to give someone money, please give them enough money, at least for like a Big Mac, not a Big Mac, like a McChicken sandwich or a hamburger or something. That is $1 and, okay, I will look this up, but I know for a fact that the McChicken is $1.69. I eat that all the time while I'm working because that is what I can afford. And I do utilize a lot of those rewards apps, like the ones where you get food and then you like, spend so much money and you get free said item or whatever. It definitely helps when you're on a tight budget or no budget. But it doesn't help enough. It's literally these companies just trying to look like they're being responsible when really they're just wanting to like pay their CEOs astronomical amounts of money. Like, you have these giant corporations such as like Chick-fil-A, McDonald's, Jack in the Box, Walmart, especially Walmart. They all act like they've got these charitable things, right? It's not charity. It's them literally putting on a charity theater. So we're in dystopia, basically. Like, I'm getting myself flustered. Right, homelessness and the prevalence of child abuse and abuse among it, sexual abuse especially. When you are homeless, you do not have a safe place. You do not have a home. You do not have shelter. Maybe you're lucky to have a car. The invisible homeless population, those who live in motels, who have to live in their car. It's still homelessness, but it's not the bottom rung of. It's not like you haven't hit rock bottom quite yet, but you're getting there. The more violence, the more trauma, the more stress and anxiety people feel, the more likely they are to end up in a position where they have absolutely no rights. No rights, no safety. Human rights should provide you with what you need, right? We have all these rights in our country. What we should have as our human rights is fucking shelter, safety, and fucking healthcare, which we do not have in the high. Ooh. Okay, I'm getting myself pissed off again. We do not have the right to healthcare in this country. We do not have the right to safety in this country. We do not have the right to shelter in this country. The wealthiest nation in the history of the world. We do not have that right. Homelessness is not okay. It is not okay to be homeless. It is not okay to allow someone to be homeless. It is not okay for there to be billionaires in this country who, for all intents and purposes, give away a lot of fucking money. They do. Like, they give away hundreds of millions. But that is a tiny little pin in a otherwise, 330 million size bucket, right? Like, homelessness should not be an issue. We have a wealth of not only homes, we have homes. We have the space. We have the space for people to not be homeless. But what do we do with it? We fucking sell it to landlords, and landlords sell it to people who cannot afford it and who end up getting stuck. Landlords ain't shit, and they don't deserve your money. I'm just saying. Now, maybe there's some good landlords out there. No, there aren't. No, there are no good landlords. When you are a child who is abused, a lot of the times the street sounds better. So you end up running away if you get the chance. Some kids don't get the chance to run away. Some kids get killed. And, oh, God. What's really fucking sad is there are so many children on the streets having to work with their parents selling flowers or doing odd jobs like windshield wiping. There are some families that get so impoverished, or they get so tired of being impoverished, that they are willing to sell their children. And that is a huge problem that we're facing in the Philippines and basically a lot of brown countries. Because Western men have a hard-on for kids. And that is not a fucking joke. There are a lot of fucking men out there who want children for sex. They want to pay children or their parents online for sexual favors over the computer. That is a huge fucking problem. And a lot of the times there's kids who are having to sell themselves online while being homeless and facing the worst kinds of abuse. Now, I'm not going to belittle my experience and say that, other people had it so much worse than me, so why does it matter, right? Something I've noticed among Western society, white people, they preach safety. No, it's hard to fucking form coherent thoughts for me. I need to write it down sometimes. I'm sorry. So many children are put in these situations because of straight white men. And I know that a lot of y'all just balked or, clutch your pearls and shit. Not me, not my man. There are a lot of fucking white men out there who want your kids sexually. And I'm not joking about that. The biggest perpetrator of sexual crimes towards children is straight white men. Cis-presenting. When it comes to these kinds of things, it gets me really sad. These kinds of symptoms that I'm talking about, constant feelings of devastation, just pure, unbridled, I can't even, it's hard for me to even describe this kind of situation. It's hard for me to describe my my feelings towards these. I feel homelessness is an atrocity against humanity. I'm sorry, but it is a atrocity committed against these people. It is not their fault. It is not laziness. I hear so many people say, "Oh, they're lazy. They're like they don't know how to work." Yeah, okay, sure. Now, when you're excuse me, when you're at that point of homelessness, where you can't work, you can't do anything except for sit there and feel. That is what you're seeing out there. When you see people who are laying on the street, who are sitting down, just signs in front of their head where you can't fucking see their face, it is utter devastation that they are going through. They feel like society has shunned them, which we have. We have. Like, when you see a homeless person on the street, that is what you need to think of. That's what they're going through. And I don't understand how some people can be so callous towards the homeless, because in the long run, I'm sorry, I need a minute. Okay, so I think maybe I'll wrap up, but I want to go more in depth into this topic later on as well. At some point I would like to actually form a coherent thought, you know. Please be kind to homeless people. Like, while it may not be your fault that they're homeless, it is definitely not their fault. They became homeless through a set of systematic, oh God, how do I say this? Please be kind to homeless people. Like, you don't have to fucking, it doesn't take much. And a lot of the times, at least for me, you don't even want to be fucking noticed. You don't want people staring at you. You don't want any of that. But these homeless people have to deal with that. They have no choice. And a lot of the times, these are veterans. These are mostly abuse survivors who have tried and tried and tried, but can't. Like, they can't work anymore. They can't feed themselves. They can't feel the compassion. They don't get any access to it. Compassion is something that is uniquely human. Well, I can't even say that. I've seen compassion in different species before. We're a social animal, right? Humans, we have slowly but surely evolved. You know, they evolved. We have evolved as social creatures, and it is absolutely counter to our nature, as a whole, as an actual, like, species. We are supposed to take care of those who cannot take care of themselves, right? So when you see a homeless person, I want you to think that this was on us, and we failed that person. It's not on you personally, no. And I know that a lot of people get frustrated that, you know, they feel like, oh, well, it's not my problem. It's not, I didn't cause this. Like, you didn't, of course not. You didn't cause it personally. Like, of course not. But it is now on us as a society to take care of those people, right? Are you actually agreeing with me, or are you thinking, oh, this bitch has absolutely no idea how to do anything, and she has no idea what she's talking about? And a lot of the times I don't. I especially don't understand a lot of things. But I do understand human emotion. I understand what it's like to be so stressed out that you're going to lose your home. Sorry. This is where I start getting like really emotional, because I mean, I've been through this. I haven't had to go on the street. Thankfully, I'm extremely privileged. I am a cis white woman. I have an extreme amount of privilege in that I don't have to go homeless. My parents actually provided me a home, and that is I'm extremely fortunate in that way. But other people aren't. And when I see them, when I see people out on the street, you know, they're covering, you know, holding a sign, just covering their face, because I know what they're feeling. I know they're feeling shame. They're feeling unimaginable pain. And if you haven't been in that situation where you're losing your home, you're losing your life, you will never understand it. But you can always offer compassion, you know? And I understand that most Americans are struggling. 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, which is fucked up, incredibly fucked up for the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. And there are a lot of people who have, you know, actual remedies for this that we could listen to. There are people who have solutions, or at least want to try them. And then there's the people who just like seeing people in pain. I don't know how. So it's not okay to be homeless. And it is definitely not okay to be callous towards the homeless. It's not okay to call them lazy, to call them drug addicts, because most homeless people are literally just trying to get back into a home. They're trying to get over horrible traumas, because becoming homeless is a trauma. When you realize that you can no longer afford to keep a roof over your head, it's bad. It's really bad. Nobody deserves that. Nobody. And we're supposed to be a civilized nation, right? This is not civilized. It is not civilized for someone to think that they are more deserving of home than someone else. It is disgusting to see someone like Jeff Bezos fucking have fun with his little, it looks like a penis, his fucking penis rocket. It's a fucking penis rocket. It is not okay, and it is obscene to see people like that. It is absolutely obscene. It is not okay. I'm sorry. This kind of stuff is extremely distressing to talk about. But someone has to fucking do it. Someone needs to do something about this. Because it's not okay for people to be dying on the streets. For children to be dying on the streets. While there are fucking politicians making tons of fucking money off of those dead bodies. Because they will be dead. I live in Texas, right? We usually don't have, well, we've had winters, of course, but it's beginning to get worse here. The weather is getting worse. In the summertime, you can die from heat exhaustion. I've literally seen a fucking Rottweiler melted to the roof of an apartment building because he didn't get saved. And I mean, he was a Rottweiler. That was a few years ago, actually. It was a heat wave, and their owner left them completely up there. There was one alive who was just chained next to this dead, like, melted dog. And thankfully that dog, the last surviving one, did make it. But that's just another thing that I can't help but think of when I see people out on the street. I see people just losing their own humanity because nobody ever gave them a chance. And sometimes you even see homeless people committing, like, little crimes and stuff just so they can get into prison. So they can have a roof over their head when it's cold or too hot. That's not something we should have here. That's not. So, please, when you see a homeless person, if you have the money to give them for a meal, please do. Don't just call them lazy. They're not. And even if there was just even a handful of lazy people who ended up homeless because they were just too lazy, can't do anything, even they deserve a fucking home. Even if you are a fucking lazy piece of shit who doesn't want to do anything, you still deserve a fucking roof over your head. And we can see people in, like, California, in fucking any fucking state you go to, you will see homeless people. But one of the most egregious things I've seen is people laying spikes out in front of buildings and stuff so homeless people can't even fucking lay on the cold, hard ground. Because they think of them as less than animals. They think of them as trash. And they're not. And if you are experiencing homelessness right now, you are not trash. You are deserving of love. You are deserving of a home. You are deserving of safety and health care and food. Okay. I still want to go over some more stuff, but I can't do it. I can't do anymore today. Please be kind.
You don't know what other people are going through. And even if they're rude to you, don't say anything back. Just leave. Don't add to the pain of people who are already in the most pain that they have ever been in their life. Okay? Alright, yeah, that's it. I'll give you a little kitty palate cleanser, because I can certainly use one. Alright.